Tyler from Aspire Sports. Today's video, I'm going to give you my draft strategy for rounds 1 through 3 that will help you win your leagues. This draft strategy has helped me win a lot of leagues, so I'm going to tell you what I do, especially in the first 3 rounds. Now, I'm going to mainly focus on like 1 quarterback redraft leagues, but I'll also touch upon like super flex, 2 quarterback leagues, best ball as well, kind of like my thought process for the first 3 rounds in those drafts as well. So let's get into the video. The first piece of advice that I'm going to give you, and it's a little different, all right? The first piece, really, I would say, like, don't draft a quarterback in the first 3 rounds, but this one is more interesting than that, and that's play the Game of Thrones, all right? Play the Game of Thrones, and what I mean by that is, if you watch Game of Thrones, great show, shitty ending to the show, but anyways, that's neither here or there, but you play the Game of Thrones, you play to win the game. When it's draft time, you're focused, you're lasered. You're locked in, ready to go. You're Tiger Woods. You're Michael Jordan. You got that killer instinct. Somebody comes up to you and talks about, oh, what do you think about this player or that player before the draft? Don't tell them. Play the Game of Thrones. Trick them. Trick them into thinking something else. Oh, I don't like this player, but really you do, okay? You don't want to give people you don't show your cards when you're playing poker, right? You don't flip them over and try to make your hand. No, you hide your hand. That's what you need to do. When you're doing your draft and you have somebody who you think is, man, this team's looking pretty good. Their next pick comes up. What you want to do is you want to sit there and go, poof, when they make a draft pick. Poof, okay? Because what's going to happen is that person is immediately going to look at you and they're going to start thinking. They're going to start looking at their draft board. Oh, man, did I miss somebody? Who did I miss? They're going to start running 100 different scenarios in their head. Is my fly down? Like, what's going on? No. You get in their head. That way, when it's their turn to draft again, they're looking at their draft board. Okay, let's make sure everybody's there. The time's clicking, winding down. They're starting to kind of panic a little bit. Okay, here. And then people start to make mistakes. You play to win the game. You're Michael Jordan. You're Tiger Woods. You're talking shit. You're getting in people's heads. That's one of the first things that you need to do when it's draft time. Because if you're not doing that and you're Mr. Nice Guy, chances are you could still win the league. But why not play the game? This is, you're no longer in high school, okay? We're not playing high school sports. No, this is our sport. Fantasy. This is our sport. So you go in there, you start to talk shit. Jeez, I wouldn't have picked that guy. And they're like, what do you mean? And then they start getting offensive and then they tell you why. And then you're just getting in people's heads. That's what you got to do. So tip number 1, play the Game of Thrones. Play to win the game. Get locked in. Talk shit, okay? Talk shit. Tip number 2, don't draft a quarterback early, like especially in your 1 quarterback leagues. All right, your first 3 picks none of them should be a quarterback. None of them. Don't be the person. Don't be the Dan that drafts Patrick Mahomes in the 2nd round. Don't do that. It's not good value. All right, wait on quarterbacks. Me personally, I'll be the last person to draft a quarterback because I'm gonna take a chance on a Cam Newton, who everybody's like down on this upcoming season. I'll take a chance on Tua, Jameis Winston, Kirk Cousins going incredibly late, Ben Roethlisberger. Like, I'll take a shot on all these guys. So wait on quarterback. And why I say wait on quarterback is, let's look at this. All right, so Josh Allen last year was quarterback number 1. He scored 409.9 points. Let's go down and look at Justin Herbert. Justin Herbert wasn't even being drafted last year, but that's a different story. So last year, he finished with 340.8 points. All right. If we do the math, that's 69.1 points between them, or 4.3 points per game. Okay. So the biggest number is 4.3 points per game between quarterback number 1 and quarterback number 10. Let's look at the running back position. The running back position, Alvin Kamara last year, 336.3 points on the season. Running back number 1. Running back number 10. Now, I know he didn't play every single game, but we're just looking at total points here for this. So, total points, Nick Chubb, 201.7 points. Between running back number 1, running back number 10, that's 134.6 points between them, or 8.4 points per game, okay? And if you look at these guys, a lot of these guys are drafted very early in your drafts, the first 3 rounds of your drafts. You have James Robinson. Wasn't. Really, that's the only guy that wasn't. I don't think last year David Montgomery was either, but the rest of these guys are drafted in the first 3 rounds. That's 8.4 points of difference between running back number 1 and running back number 10. Where for quarterback, right? Like I said, last year, Justin Herbert wasn't even drafted. Ryan Tannehill was being drafted as, like, I believe, like quarterback number 21 last year, right? You have a lot of these guys that aren't being drafted high, but outperform their ADP, and they're basically 4 points a week right by the quarterback number 1. 4.3 difference, all right? 4.3 every single week. That's a small number compared to your running back number 1 and running back number 10. So that's why I would not draft a quarterback in the first round. Last year, or in the top 3 picks. Last year, Patrick Mahomes was the first quarterback taken off the board, right there with Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson, quarterback number 8, right there with Justin Herbert, Ryan Tannehill. Patrick Mahomes, best quarterback in the league, quarterback number 6. Now, I believe he didn't play all 16 games last year. He missed 1. But still, the point is that you can get value late in your draft, better value at the quarterback position than any other position in fantasy football. That's why, me personally, I'll be the last person to take a quarterback. I'll probably take 2 quarterbacks, try to have one of them hit. And if one of them doesn't, there's probably a good chance that there's going to be a quarterback on waivers for you to pick up. Or quarterback is one of the only positions that you can just play waiver wire week every single week and just will play waivers and play matchups every single week at the quarterback position that will give you good value as well. So wait on quarterback. Do not draft a quarterback in the first 3 rounds. Rather, this upcoming season, you have guys like, let's look at, ADP's right here. So let's look at quarterbacks right now. So we got guys like Ryan Tannehill. Jalen Hurts is completely fine. Jalen Hurts, one of the quarterbacks that I'll definitely be targeting. But Jalen Hurts. Then if you get later, you got Kirk Cousins, was a top 11 quarterback last year. And he's finished more times inside the top 10 than he hasn't in his entire career. You have Justin Fields. Ben Roethlisberger was quarterback number 14 last year. Tua, I believe that there's possibility there. You also have a guy like Derek Carr. Derek Carr was very good last season. Cam Newton, everybody's sleeping on Cam Newton. He should enter the season as the starting quarterback on a team that has done nothing but improve their offensive weapons, right? Zach Wilson, quarterback for the New York Jets. There's possibility there. Like, there's a lot of quarterbacks, even my boy, Jameis. I know that Michael Thomas got hurt, but I still think that there's potential. Jared Goff, this team should throw the ball a shit ton. I know that he's not a great quarterback, but still, there's a lot of guys late that are going to be good values that you basically don't have to pay anything for, and you try to find that quarterback that is going to be easier to find, that quarterback that's going to hit inside the top 10 than any other position. So wait on quarterback, wait on quarterback, wait on quarterback. So tip number 2, really this is tip number 1, but tip number 2, wait on quarterback. The last piece of advice, tip number 3, is draft by tiers. August 1st, we're going to have our own draft board available to you. And August 1st, we're going to have projections, our top 60, top 200, rankings, tiers. To me, tiers are the most important thing to draft by. And why is because if we look at tier number 1, really it should be, in my opinion, Christian McCaffrey. He's kind of by himself. Then you got a little tier of that. And then tier 2 opens up to a lot of different players. But say there's a run on running backs, like really to start the draft, okay? You have, realistically, it could be like the first 8 running backs, first 9 running backs taken right off the board with the first 9 picks, right? I wouldn't be surprised by that. Maybe you might have like Travis Kelce in there or wide receiver, but it could be the first 9 running backs are taken right off the board. So then it's your turn to pick, okay? Tier 3, you could have a guy like Antonio Gibson. Like, do you think that there's that big of a difference between a guy like Antonio Gibson, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Chris Carson, DeAndre Swift, Miles Sanders? Like, to me, I don't think that there's that big of a difference between that. Where if you look at Antonio Gibson, he would be the guy, maybe take a running back. Or you look at wide receiver, and now you got the top tier, Tyreek Hill. To me, there's a big difference between drafting tier 3 at running back and drafting tier 1. Say that these guys are gone, okay? And all these guys in the second tier are gone. So now you're looking at like Calvin Ridley, right? I think that there's a big difference between Calvin Ridley and Antonio Gibson. And I would draft my top tier, Calvin Ridley, before I would draft Antonio Gibson, because chances are when it's your pick again, when it's your turn to draft next round, you're probably going to have a guy like DeAndre Swift, Chris Carson, David Montgomery available to you. And you can draft a guy that's going to be in the same tier as Antonio Gibson. And it's going to be better value if you go at their wide receiver position. So don't be locked into, oh, I need to draft 3 running backs with my first 3 picks. No, because you're probably going to be missing value that's on the board at other positions. you're going to have guys that are going to fall to you that are going to be in the same tier that you would be drafting these other guys in. So draft by tiers, not by rankings, because rankings, it's going to be very hard to look at your rankings and say, oh, well, running back number 10 is much, much better than running back number 18, when in reality, is it really? Like, no, they're in the same tier. Like, these guys aren't that far off from each other, and it would not be surprising, if DeAndre Swift, a pass-catching specialist on a team that needs to pass the ball a lot this year, finishes in the same range as Antonio Gibson. Like, that would not be surprising. So, draft by tiers. I think that's important, and you can use Fantasy Pros, great source. You can use ours. That will be available to you August 1st. So, that's my top 3. So, let me know what you think of my tips, my advice down in the comments below. And if you enjoy this content, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. Really appreciate it. Thank you for watching. Have a great day.